This is a Camnet TV. Thank you very much for joining us for the main news. Today, Saturday, the 26th of August, 2023. First, we take a look at the stories making the headlines. Marketeers in CHIYABA ward shunned from occupying the newly constructed market. Chiefs call for the construction of safe houses for early marriages and GBV survivors. President HICHILEMA appeals to the church to work with government in fostering peace. In international news, KREMLIN moves to take control of WAGNER Group. And in sports news, Power Dynamos beat Africa Stars to move to the second round of the CAF Champions League. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now the news in detail. Marketeers in CHIYABA area of Kafue district have refused to move into a newly constructed market due to lack of toilets. A check by Camnet News found the market, which was constructed using the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, CDF, deserted 2 months after being commissioned by Area Member of Parliament Miriam Chonya, while the marketeers continue to trade by the roadside. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Rob Mpinga, when contacted, says the commissioning of the market was rushed, which has contributed to it being a white elephant. Here's a report.
This is the current state of the market built in CHIYABA area of Chirundu district at a cost of about 170,000 kwacha using the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, CDF. But 2 months after the commissioning of the market by Kafue area Member of Parliament Miriam Chonya, the market has remained a white elephant as no marketeer is willing to move into the market on allegations that it has no toilet facilities. However, some shop owners in this area have argued that the marketeers have refused to move into the market but have opted to continue trading by the roadside because the market has been built away from the roadside and they feel they will be unable to find customers for their produce.
MP vanasegula market wanaita na vantu muchimarket mucho tinaenda tezi vambiri muchimunzi muri vazimai vambiri maningi but vanadhandira kuti akungena market tizangena but tibe toilet tibe bafu vanakamba kuti no problem nizoza vakanso zazavochita manje futhi wa MP wenzeko after maybe 2 weeks ago apa vanapeza vazimai vati pa market vanafunza kuti na vazimai mkaboenda muchimarket vanakamba kuti stingangene mu market than mulibe toilet kulibe bafa ine navayankha va Miriam Chonya nati vafunse ni vantu vananga pa ine valili apa pa market kodi vali na toilet vali na bafa kozi bafa mine vayuzingani yanga ine toilet amine vayuzingani yanga ine so afuna chabe vazimai kwenda mu market mujo afuna chapa mine apazuva
vantu vanabwera va Miriam Chonya navafunza kuti nangani chani simuyenda kunkhala mu market tinasegula kudala vanayanga ti ai face vachimangire toilet tingaende kunkhala ku market kulibe toilet nafunza kuti manje ku market Europa pamwe munkhala pa chimfire pali toilet nanga nthawi ya mvula ikabwera mzangalapo bwanji so kuti vaimbekeza toilet kuja.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Bob Pinga, when contacted, told this reporter that there was a rush in the commissioning of the market by the area Member of Parliament and that no much consultation was done before the facility was constructed.
And the thing was quickly rushed to be launched without the knowledge of the community. That's why you've seen people abandon that evacuation from where they are trading from to go into the market.
Meanwhile, efforts to get a comment from Ms. Chonya proved futile as her phone was switched off by broadcast time. For now, this infrastructure remains a white elephant, and concerns are now mounted from members of the community that the infrastructure may be vandalized if not occupied for its intended purpose. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Chief Mazimawe of the Ngoni people of Kasanengwa district in the Eastern Province has called for countrywide construction of safe houses for early marriages and gender-based violence GBV survivors. The traditional leader notes with concern that currently early marriages and GBV are difficult to address as victims live among the perpetrators or family members who are accomplices in the vice and intimidate them. As a result, most cases are not prosecuted. Meanwhile, Chief Chiganta of the Tonga people of Kalomo district in the Southern Province has called on the media to highlight the work of traditional leaders in the fight against early marriages, gender-based violence and other social ills in the communities. Here's a report.
According to Girls Not Brides website, 29% of Zambian girls are married before their 18th birthday and 5% are married before the age of 15. These statistics, though gloomy, they have come after intensified efforts to end the scourge by government and other stakeholders. Musokotwane Compassion Mission Zambia MCMZ of Choma is one such organization established to fight child marriages. On Friday evening, the organization held a fundraising dinner in Lusaka to raise funds for operations at its safe house in Choma. Speaking during the event, MCMZ founder and executive director Genius Musokotwane appealed to government to harmonize conflicting pieces of legislation to enhance the fight against child marriages.
We want also to make an earnest appeal to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia to ensure that at least the President sets up a commission in the Republic of Zambia which is gender focused, which is the Gender Commission, so that the response against gender-based violence cases in the Republic of Zambia are well managed.
Chief Chiganta of Kalomo district of Southern Province, who is also board member for MCMZ, disclosed that since its formation in 2008, the organization has withdrawn about 800 girls from early marriages.
So this is a huge number, 50, for a small organization to take care of their needs, those children that are in that particular center. I'm happy as a traditional leader to state that about 800 girls have been retrieved in the last 16 years. In the morning, the chief wakes up, people come, 04, people reported a palace, 04, because the woman is battered by her husband in the night, because the child is abused, they report to the chief. I want the media to know that before we were colonized, before the country was colonized, the chiefs were the administrators of these communities. Total administration. Now that, it is still on.
Officiating as guest of honor, Chief Mazimawe of the Ngoni-speaking people of Kasanengwa district of Eastern Province attributed some cultural practices as a major contributor to early marriages.
We have talked as traditional leaders, talked to partners, to convince Alangizi to change the syllabus, but that has fallen on deaf ears. They've not changed the syllabus because those that go into child marriages are graduates from the initiation syllabus. Those that fall pregnant are graduates. So government, civil society, stakeholders, private sector, let's work together. How do we work on Alangizi so that the syllabus is tailored, changed to help the young people?
The commission has since identified 5 hectares of land each in 3 chiefdoms of Chona, Chikankata and Mazimawe to grow crops whose proceeds will be used in the fight against child marriages. For Camnet TV, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Police in riot gear Saturday morning sealed off Zingalume's Muchinga ground in Lusaka to prevent Defiant Patriotic Front PF from going ahead with their planned public rally. The party had scheduled to hold its rally Saturday, the 26th of August 2023, but was advised by the Zambia Police Service not to go ahead for security reasons. And addressing the media after the failed attempt to access the venue, PF acting Vice President Given Lwinda told party supporters to stay away, claiming that police had instructions from President Hakainde Hichilema to teach anyone who dared to hold a rally a lesson. Mr. Lwinda wondered how the police service had hundreds of police officers to man the venue when it denied the holding of an event due to security reasons. We have details in the following report.
Lusaka's Zingalume Muchinga ground in Matero constituency, where Patriotic Front PF was scheduled to hold its rally Saturday, became a near police mobilization center as police officers sealed off the venue. On Thursday, the police advised PF to hold its publicized political rally on September 30, 2023, after Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu requested the party to engage the service after it turned down the proposed date for security reasons. However, the defiance by the party to go on with the rally saw police officers descend on Muchinga ground with heavy riot gear. The road leading to the venue was heavily manned, with police officers searching vehicles. At the scene, the filming by this reporter was cut short by some police officers who were against the act. Addressing the media at PF Secretariat, party acting Vice President Given Lwinda accused President Hakainde Hichilema of turning the country into a police state.
I therefore appeal to all of those members of ours who are gathered at Zingalume, and the many who are already preparing themselves to come to Zingalume, because a lot of members were expecting that the Vice President will address the rally at 15 hours. And a lot of people have been calling, we are coming, we are bringing busloads of people. I appeal to all of them. Hakainde has decided to show us that he's going to use the power of the gun to stop us from meeting.
Questioned if the former ruling party was not having a taste of its own medicine, Mr. Lwinda had a defense.
Just to say security concerns is not enough. You must explain. The law says explain the reason why we should not hold the meeting. We appealed to the minister, and the minister says, go and agree on an alternative date. And it's not a question of what happened before. No. It is a question of what is happening now, going into the future. That's what we must be talking about.
But some United Party for National Development UPND members in Matelo have urged the PF to be grateful of the peace they are enjoying and desist from making unsubstantiated accusations.
It's not the UPND who stopped the PF not to hold that rally. It's the law which is not obviously allowing them. It's not the UPND. UPND, it's a political party. So they should really appreciate what is the peace which is prevailing in the country right now.
The Public Order Act of 1995 has been a bone of contention in Zambia over the years, as many accuse sitting governments of its abuse under the pretext of protecting public order. Under the UPND-led government, the Public Order Act repealing remained underway, called the Public Gathering Bill of 2022. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Human rights activist Maiko Zulu has challenged the United Party for National Development UPND government to use the remaining 3 years of their tenure to address the high cost of living. Mr. Zulu says the ruling party came with a bang to address the cost of living and cost of production. He notes that the new Donor administration has not done much in addressing challenges facing the Zambian people, such as the high cost of living. Here's a report.
The cost of living in July 2023 for a family of 5 in Lusaka, as measured by the JCTR Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket, increased by 61 kwacha 73 ngwe. According to JCTR, the Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket for July 2023 in Lusaka stood at 9,301 kwacha 18 ngwe compared to 9,239 kwacha 45 ngwe recorded in June this year. Back to 2020, the cost of living for a family of 5 in Lusaka for the month of October stood at 7,060 kwacha 29 ngwe. The cost of living has continued worsening despite the United Party for National Development UPND promise to address it as soon as they assumed office. 2 years later, a family of 5 in Lusaka now needs close to 10,000 kwacha to survive every month. Human rights activist Michael Zulu is displeased.
People were promised that these things would be affordable, but obviously reality has now hit home, and the euphoria has died down. So there is need again for UPND to begin to communicate, the current state of affairs to the citizens.
Mr. Zulu says the UPND government has not paid much attention to addressing the cost of living and should do so in the remaining 3 years.
To turn around an economy that had been damaged for so many years is going to take a lot of time. So they must come back to the table without the politicking so much. There's a few things, of course, that have been done correctly. Opportunities for young people in the education, especially, that is commendable. Some retirees getting their monies. Also, again, in the health sector, jobs created.
With a 25 kg bag of mealie meal selling as high as 300 kwacha in some parts of the country, government must surely come up with measures to curtail the ever-increasing prices of basic commodities such as mealie meal. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Alliance for Community Action, SCA, says there is need to create a more just and equitable society in Zambia where natural resources are shared by all citizens. SCA Board Chairperson Sydney Mwansa notes that there is need to improve transparency of government financial records and ensure that public funds are used effectively and efficiently. Meanwhile, Ministry of Education Principal University Education Officer Brian Makufele highlighted the need to incorporate young people in civic education, saying this is an investment for the future of the country. Here's a report.
In a quest to strengthen the demand and supply for public resource accountability in Zambia, the Alliance for Community Action, SCA, has launched a 4-year strategic plan to create a more just and equitable society in Zambia where natural resources are shared by all citizens. Speaking during the launch was SCA Board Chairperson Sydney Mwansa, who highlighted the need for improved transparency of government financial records.
We pledge to build capacities, amplify voices, and foster responsiveness among duty bearers, ensuring that the clarion call for transparency in public resource management resounds from rural communities to the corridors of power. But we cannot trade this path alone. We seek your support, and that's why we are here, for together our efforts can surge like a tide of change, breaking down the barriers and illuminating the path ahead. With your assistance, we will retain our expert staff. Obviously, we've seen our expert staff that have come through the ranks and would love to retain them. Empower a new generation of change makers, extend our reach to the remotest of areas, and establish the steadfast physical presence through our own office. Our vision is to be a key player in the creation of a Zambia where all citizens have an equitable share of the country's abundant resources. We believe that this can be achieved through a combination of strong institutions, empowered citizens, and accountable leaders.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Education Principal University Education Officer Brian Makufele, who represented the Permanent Secretary, says there's need to invest in young people.
The work of the Alliance for Community Action is aligned with government vision of creating a Zambia where every citizen enjoys their full range of human rights. The Alliance for Community Action's focus on youth in educational institutions is particularly important as young people are the future of our country.
As some of the participants at the event had suggestions to make to the Alliance.
I think that graduate internship program is one intervention which is adding a lot of value to the work of civil society. And I feel, I always protest to Jimmy that maybe you guys, you seem to be undermining the value of this initiative.
Go and disseminate the information to an extent whereby it can be simplified such that even a layman can understand.
Continue debugging. As long as you are coming to our site to teach us, sometimes on the market here we make money, but we don't have idea multi budget in drama that. Tingapang and drama buno bueno, but without budget drama we don't know.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV.
A Copperbelt-based clergy, Pastor Charles Chilensha, says since Vendetta Resources Limited has pledged to offset the $2 million United States dollars it owes to local contractors and suppliers, it is prudent that government gives back the mine to Vendetta. Pastor Chilensha says that over $2 million will help elevate poverty on the Copperbelt as well as help the Kwacha appreciate against other major convertibles. He has since appealed to President HICHILEMA to help expeditiously hand over KCM to Vendetta.
Since Vendetta Resources are ready and are willing to offset the $250 million they owe contractors as well as suppliers at KCM, Konkala Copper Mines PLC, and are ready to recapitalize the mining firm. It's only prudent that the Republic of Zambia, under the able leadership of His Excellency, our President, Dr. Hakainde Hichilema, give back KCM to Vendetta Resources, because the $250 million they will initially inject into the offsetting of the debt owed to suppliers and contractors will also help mitigate poverty, relatively alleviate poverty on the Copperbelt, as well as help the suppliers, contractors, and their immediate households. But the $250 million is also going to help the Kwacha appreciate against the dollar, also contribute to the GDP in some way because of some hidden taxes here and there that the contractors and suppliers may pay.
President Hakainde Hichilema says government and the church should work together to foster peace and security in the country. President Hichilema says peace and security are important ingredients to promoting the development of the country. Speaking on the occasion to mark the end of the Silver Jubilee commemorations for the Catholic Diocese of Mongo, which started in April, President Hichilema advised the church not to relent in continuously advising government. Meanwhile, Catholic Diocese of Mongo Bishop Evans Chinyemba says the Silver Jubilee offered a moment of reflection and new commitment to the congregants. Here's a report.
The Catholic Church has today celebrated the Silver Jubilee Mass for the Diocese of Mongo. The diocese clocked 25 years of existence in the district. The Jubilee celebration was held at Mongo Catholic College of Education. In delivering the profile of the diocese, Bishop Evans Chinyemba said the Catholic Church established in Zambia began in Balozland. The bishop urged the people in the province and country at large to remain rejuvenated to the word of God.
The Spirit of the Lord, as we have heard in the first reading, was upon the missionaries as they set out walking on foot, setting up mission stations from Livingstone up to Okoro. The Spirit of the Lord was upon the missionaries and the laity as they set out on foot setting up education institutions. Indeed, the Spirit of the Lord is upon each one of us today as we gather to give thanks to God for the gift of the Catholic Diocese of Mungu.
Earlier speaking, Balozi Royal Establishment Prime Minister Ngambira Mkeramanyando said the Catholic has exhibited and achieved tremendous work in the education and health sectors in the province.
For them in their work, we realized that since the early 1930s, they have endeavored to service the necessary needs of the people here in Mungu. A number of programs. They established schools for the education of our people. We heard that Santa Maria and other schools also established health facilities, hospitals, clinics around the province and around the country.
Meanwhile, the Republican President HICHILEMA has called on the churches in the country to partner with the government in requests to foster national development and unity in the country.
I want to indicate, Bishop, here that we shall work with the church and the Board of Trust in fostering health service deliveries even more. And I want to be emphatic here, sir, that the improvement of Lewanika Hospital is one of our priorities going forward. The hospital will hit 100 years this year, and it's our duty to work with you and the people of the church, the people of Mungu and Vloskaufela to make sure that we partner with you to develop and enhance this hospital. In the area of education, I am not ashamed to say that our intention, and I say it using this platform, that the New Dawn government, UPND government, wants to make sure that every province has a university, and Lewanika, King Lewanika University is one other activity that we want to ensure we see it completed in this area. And we will work again with you and other churches in this area. Infrastructure, oh Bishop, we want to acknowledge the need to work on the roads. No question about it. We understand that as you do, as a church.
Mosiwa Kabira reporting for Camnet News in Mungu, Western Province.
On that note, we take our first set of commercials. We'll be back shortly.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ Luxurious Coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and we can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
Welcome back. You are still watching the menus on Camnet TV, and now for the rest of the stories. The Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA, has cautioned broadcasting stations to stick to the revised guidelines for enforcement and handling of compliance breaches by broadcasting stations. IBA Chairperson Chikosola Achula says the guidelines will standardize how the authority deals with cases of non-compliance. Meanwhile, speaking during the launch of the revised guidelines Saturday evening, Minister of Information and Media Chusi Kasanda advised all broadcasting stations to familiarize themselves with the guidelines in view of not to be sanctioned.
The importance of the media in society cannot be overemphasized. The conduct of media stations is as much as cardinal in ensuring the public is well informed on pertinent issues. In trying to keep the media in check, the Independent Broadcasting Authority on Saturday evening launched revised guidelines for broadcasting stations. Gracing the event was Minister of Information and Media Chusi Kasanda, who urged radio and television stations to adhere to standards and regulations prescribed by the Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to take this opportunity to appeal to all radio and television stations to familiarize themselves well with these new guidelines on compliance. In addition, I wish to urge you all to adhere to all the standards and regulations prescribed by the IBA, and to work with a sense of duty and responsibility to the public by seeking to resolve all issues of compliance as soon as they are brought to your attention by the regulator or indeed by members of the public.
And speaking at the same event was IBA Board Chairperson Chisokola Achula, who says the new document underwent extensive consultations with all broadcasting stations in the country.
I wish to state from the onset that the document you will be launching today underwent extensive consultation with all broadcasting stations in the country. The IBA board ensured that no station was left out by engaging with stations in all the 10 provinces to obtain feedback and improve on the contents of the document. In this regard, I wish to express our gratitude to all the broadcasting stations for their recommendations and for helping us to refine the guidelines.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Zambia is next month expected to host the Africa Food, Art and Cultural Festival, which is expected to attract around 5,000 attendees from different parts of Africa and the world. AFF Director Sonika Mbewe says the festival will provide a unique opportunity for African countries to showcase their rich, diverse food and culture, which has the potential to bring in millions of dollars on the African continent and Zambia as a whole. Ms. Mbewe, however, says financial support towards the hosting of the festival in the past has been a challenge, as the corporate world has closed its doors to supporting the event. Meanwhile, Ministry of Tourism Assistant Director Chilala Simbi says government wants to see tourism contribute positively to the tourism sector by bringing in more forex.
Is next month on the 8th and 9th expected to host the 5th edition of the African Food, Art and Cultural Festival, which will attract about 500 attendees from across the globe. The event, which will be held under the theme Growing a Sustainable Food and Culture Tourism in Zambia, will see Zambia and other African countries showcase their rich and nutritious food and culture, which define who we are as a continent. The hosting of this event, however, comes with its own challenges, such as financing, which the corporate world has been challenged not to continue closing their doors, but support gastronomy tourism, which has immense potential to contribute to the growth of the tourism and agriculture sectors.
It is time for Zambia to take her place and host the biggest Matebeto in Africa. Zambia has 10 provinces, and each province comes with unique, diverse foods and culture. We, as the African Food Festival Zambia, have tried and seen so many food festivals around the world and have come to discover that Zambia is probably the only African country with a lot of vegetables saved on the table. We need more support from government and especially the corporate world. Are you not Zambian or African enough to support a cause for gastronomy growth in this region, as Bella would say?
Meanwhile, Ministry of Tourism Assistant Director Chilala Habasindi, who represented the Permanent Secretary, says government is optimistic that the event will attract more tourists in Zambia and has called for more support to the sector.
The African Food Festival is not just a celebration. It is a means to place Zambia on the global gastronomy map while striving to achieve our targeted tourist arrivals this year, which is 1.5 million. The culinary tourism industry is no small player, with an estimated worth of $8.8 trillion. Zambia has the potential to stake its claim in this arena that has remained relatively underexploited.
And some of the sponsors of the program are optimistic that Zambia's rich cultural diverse will be brought under one roof during the food festival.
I'm happy that the private sector entities like the organizers of the Africa Food Festival are giving African foods the recognition they deserve. Most of our traditional indigenous foods are important to our food and nutrition security.
One of our values at Mukuru is work and play, and I've just been thinking to myself, what better way is there to do it than to sit and interact with different people from different communities over a plate of good food.
For us, the Africa Food Festival is a fun day to interact with the chefs from all different restaurants, as well as that do the local dishes in the country.
Purdes Chota reporting For Camnet TV News.
The Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Subeto Mutelo, has urged staff at the ministry to be at their best in order to deliver on government's mandate. Ms. Mutelo notes that the Ministry of SME is the government's flagship program to uplift many Zambians from poverty through funding businesses and startup. For the vision to be achieved, workers at the ministry should be at their best. She was speaking recently during the closing ceremony of a two-day workshop for 25 ministry staff in the International Labour Organization ILO Start Improve Your Business program SYB.
Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise is a flagship of the President and the New Dawn government. And so if we don't deliver or shine, it means we are putting the President to shame. He put up this ministry because he understands that there are so many SMEs out there who need the support of a ministry. And so we're born from Ministry of Commerce, and here we are as a full ministry, and it is incumbent upon us to ensure that the SMEs out there are taken care of, they are helped, and through AGS, we are here with the knowledge that has been impacted into the staff, my colleagues, and I believe that you will see change even from the ministry itself, because this is the knowledge that we have been missing. And with you by our side, we are here promising that we will do the best from what you have given unto us where knowledge is concerned.
The Golden Valley Research Trust Batoka Livestock Development Center has constructed 2 solar-powered boreholes to benefit 1,550 cattle and 800 goats in Batoka. GAT Executive Director Martin Muyunda says the solar-powered boreholes and water troughs were constructed for the local communities around the center as a corporate social investment. Dr. Muyunda says the locals in Chief Choma's area were driving their cattle and small livestock to the Batoka Livestock Development Center to access water. And Fisheries and Livestock Permanent Secretary Anna Songolo says corporate social investment undertaken by the Batoka Livestock Development Center is something that institutions in business should pursue by assisting the surrounding communities. We have details in the following reports.
The Golden Valley Agricultural Research Trust Batoka Livestock Development Center has constructed solar-powered boreholes to benefit 1,550 cattle and 800 goats in Batoka. GAT Executive Director Dr. Martin Muyunda says the solar-powered boreholes and water troughs were constructed for the local communities around the center as a corporate social investment. Dr. Muyunda said the locals in Chief Choma's chiefdom were driving their cattle and small livestock to the Batoka Livestock Development Center to access water.
To at least sink 2 boreholes. So the first one is this one. We came through the local civic leadership, the ward councillor, who organized the local village member subjects, and they did a participatory selection of the site for the borehole.
And Fisheries and Livestock Permanent Secretary Dr. Anna Songolo says corporate social investment undertaken by the Batoka Livestock Development Center is something that institutions in business should pursue by assisting the surrounding communities.
GAT already saw the need for that corporate social responsibility to be undertaken. The people on the other side now have water for their animals, for grazing.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Green Imbozi, says the construction of solar-powered boreholes and water troughs is a way of providing a service to the communities who were illegally accessing water at Batoka Livestock Development Center.
This is a community project, obviously, which was done with a view to maybe providing services to the community which they were illegally getting through the GAT.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Choma, Southern Province.
We take another break. Still ahead, we have sports and international. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and you can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
And now in international news, Niger's capital Niamey, life is relatively calm after the storm of President Mohamed Bazoum's overthrow a month ago. Despite the stillness, tensions are on the rise. As ECOWAS threatens a military intervention to reinstate Bazoum, neighboring countries Neighboring countries, Burkina Faso and Mali, have reiterated their support to the ruling junta. As a response, ECOWAS told Niger coup leaders on Friday there was still time to reconsider. The West African regional bloc still threatens a military intervention but would prefer a more diplomatic approach. Here is now a roundup of international stories.
In Niger's capital, Niamey, life is relatively calm after the storm of President Bazoum's overthrow a month ago. Despite the stillness, tensions are on the rise as ECOWAS threatens a military intervention to reinstate Bazoum. Neighboring countries Burkina Faso and Mali have reiterated their support to the ruling junta.
À cet effet, ils ont convenu de mettre en place.
To this end, it has been agreed to set up a joint secretariat for security issues. They welcome the signing by the President of the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Motherland, General Abdurrahman Chani, of two orders on August 24, 2023, authorizing the defense and security forces of Burkina Faso and Mali to intervene on Nigerian territory in the event of aggression.
D'intervenir en territoire nigérien en cas d'agression.
As a response, ECOWAS told Niger coup leaders on Friday there was still time to reconsider. The West African regional bloc still threatens a military intervention, but would prefer a more diplomatic approach.
Even now, it is not too late for the military authorities in Niger to reconsider their action and listen to the voice of reason, as the regional leaders will not condone coup d'etat.
ECOWAS has also rejected a proposal by Niger's junta for a 3-year transition to democratic rule. Meanwhile, leaders of the bloc are currently negotiating transitions to democracy with military administrations in neighboring countries.
They call themselves musicians, a band of Russian mercenaries from the Wagner Group, paid to fight where the Kremlin needs them. Their founder and conductor were Yevgeny Prigozhin and Dmitry Utkin, both killed in a Russian plane crash this week. Prigozhin had fallen out with Putin after his men led a mutiny in June. Mercenaries are banned under Russian law, but Russian President Vladimir Putin admitted to paying billions of dollars to the Wagner Group.
I want to note, and I want us all to know about this too. The maintenance of the entire Wagner Group was fully provided by the state. From the budget of the Ministry of Defense, from the state's budget, we fully funded this group.
Whoever was responsible for Prigozhin's death, the Kremlin is moving to take full control of his global empire. Set up 10 years ago to help Russian forces in Ukraine, the Wagner Group has expanded to almost every continent, from Venezuela to Syria and Africa. An estimated 5,000 Wagner mercenaries are in Africa, fighting armed groups for a monthly fee along with access to minerals and natural resources. Experts believe revenues from logging alone to be close to $1 billion. Russian mercenaries control the Endesima gold mine in the Central African Republic, worth $2.7 billion. From Bangui, Wagner runs a beer and vodka making company called Africa Telor. And there are troll farms for hire that have fueled anti-French sentiment online in former French colonies in Africa and meddling in elections in the United States. The Wagner Group produces films portraying Russians as benevolent heroes. This was the last video of Prigozhin, supposedly filmed in northern Mali one day before his death. He says Wagner is here to make Russia even greater and Africa even more free.
Prigozhin sucks up a lot of attention, but I also think what Wagner does, this PMC, is bigger than just one person. It's bigger than Prigozhin or any one or two executives. And I think, I suspect we will see someone come in to take his spot, perhaps someone less flashy, less controversial, more aligned and more loyal to Putin.
The Wagner Group is a symphony of companies, with the musicians playing a key role the Kremlin cannot do without. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera.
Welcome back, and now in sports news, Power Dynamos Football Club has moved into the second round of the CAF Champions League after they beat African Stars by 1-0. Dynamos will progress to the second round of the competition on away goals rule. The Copperbelt Energy-supported team defeated African Stars after Andy Boyeli scored from the penalty spot to put Power in the lead in the 29th minute of the match played at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. This was after Soko was brought down and the referee pointed to the penalty spot. African Stars thought they had equalized when striker Yusuf scored, but the goal was disallowed for offside. In the 83rd minute, African Stars had another opportunity after Tefesona's free kick hit into the wall. On that sporting note, we come to the end of today's main news, but before we go, another look at the stories that made the headlines. Marketeers in Chiyawa ward shun from occupying the newly constructed market. Chiefs call for construction of safe houses for early marriage and GBV survivors. In international news, Kremlin move to take control of WAGNER Group. And in sports news, Power Dynamos defeat Africa Stars to move into the second round of the CAF Champions League. And we now look at today's Camnet verse of the day, coming from the book of John, chapter 8, verse 12. And it says, "And again Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." That's it. That's all we had for the news. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin on behalf of the entire news team. Have a blessed night.